So, gentlemen, today we'll be looking at the economic analysis and life cycle costing for energy projects. When we talk about energy projects, we're talking about both power, renewable, all the different forms of renewable projects. They all follow the same templates in analyzing them economically. And all the things we've learned in the last 2 days boils down to what you're going to do today. In other words, after your studies, after calculating the efficiency, coming up with the efficiency of each system, you now have to put it in a template, in a language that investors, in a language that your client will understand. And that's what we'll be talking today. And one of the modern method of analyzing projects, the most modern one is the concept of life cycle costing. And when we say life cycle costing, we are talking about aggregating all the cost components of a project. Let's say, for instance, I want to invest in a renewable energy project. The cost is not just the initial investment cost. The maintenance cost should be there. The administrative cost should be there. The replacement cost should be there. The security cost will be there. So by the time you incorporate all these costs, you'll be able to have a better assessment of projects. So also, there are some basic economic indices that are used to assess this project, and that's what we're looking at. So in the first 1 hour or the first 30 minutes, I'm going to be a little bit fast, because what I'm going to be doing is to lay down the foundation of these terms that you'll be encountering in real life or in the management circle. So economic analysis involves formulating, estimating, and evaluating the economic outcomes when choices of equipment or systems are available to establish a specific goal, end, or goal. The decision to select one of these choices must be made based on data, analysis, comparison of the cost and benefit of each choice. We call this selection process economic analysis. So economic analysis simply means I have options, I have alternatives. How do I parameterize them? How do I say a 20-watt LED with 400 lumens is the same as 100 watts incandescent bulb? So those are what we're talking about. So when you have choices to make, then you can base your choice on their economic benefits. This economic analysis forms a core methodology of making decisions about whether or not a project is cost effective, or which of several similar projects is most cost effective. So sometimes the projects are all cost effective, they are all good, but how do you decide which one has a better effectiveness? And so it is this economic analysis that will help you. By the time you analyze those projects or analyze those choices economically, it will be clear to you that this A or B is giving you a higher return on investment. He said this decision requires the knowledge of project costs and project benefits, often called cash flows, as well as a knowledge of interest rates and the time value of money. Take note of that word, the time value of money, because that will be the crux of the training this evening, this today. Engineering economy is a collection of mathematical techniques which simplifies economic comparison between different alternatives or evaluate the implementation of a new project. An alternative is a standalone solution for a given task. There are always several ways to accomplish this given task. This change in the value of money over a given time period is called the time value of money. Some have called this the most important concept in economic analysis. The manifestation of the time value of money is termed interest, which is a measure of the increase between the original amount invested or borrowed and the amount owed or accrued. So the concept of time value of money is, somebody here he says, one of the most revealing economic concept of the 21st century, because it has helped us to be able to evaluate, to understand that money loses value over time. Therefore, 1 naira today does not necessarily translate to 1 naira tomorrow. So if you make an investment today, by tomorrow, the cost of the investment can either go up or come down based on the depreciation. And then the cost of your borrowing can also come down or go up based on your borrowing interest or the cost of capital. Okay. You can save us an enormous amount of time in the procurement process because you know which project will stand up to the competition for dollars. You can read up all this. So here, it says $1 today is worth more than $1 in the future because money has earning power. In other words, if today you put $1 in the bank where it earns interest, it is worth more than $1 tomorrow. This change in value over time is called the time value of money. As an example, think of the price of a car. In 1980, a car would have cost about $20,000. Today, a car is about $30,000. So in about 30 years, your initial $20,000 would only pay 2/3 of the current cost of a car. Thus, the value of the dollar falls as time moves on. So let's go through some of the terms that we'll be encountering in analyzing projects based on their economic and financial benefits. The first one is what we call annual value. Now, I would like you, as Kim mentioned yesterday, some of these things are not necessarily for you to cram them, but it's good that when you come across them, you'll be able to identify them and just know their meaning, their face value meaning. Because when you want to do your analysis, definitely it's more like a design. And as engineers, if we want to do a design, we'll bring in all our design books and papers and charts and everything, and then start our design. Annual value, what is annual value? And it's represented as A or as AV. So if in our own case, we'll be using A. So whenever you see A, it means annual value, a series of equal cash flow, most often saving in our application that occur evenly spaced over time. For this course, we use end of the year accounting, meaning that cash flow occur only at the end of the year. A, which is the annual value, is also known as the annuity amount, and it's also called annual worth method. So you can call it three things. If you see annual worth, you see annuity amount, or you see annual value, it's the same thing. What it simply means is that, let's say you borrow me $100, 100 naira, and you ask me to be paying 100 naira, and you want me to pay you back in 5 years, but you want me to be paying you 10 naira every year. So every year I'll go and pay 10 naira. Every year I'll go and pay 10 naira until I finish paying. That equals series of cash flow. It's what we call annual value. It is what we call the annual amount. So most times when you pick a loan from the bank and you want to be paying it as a civil servant, they are going to spread it for you in such a way that there will be a specific amount, a specific equal cash flow that you'll be paying back. And then within a specific time, you must have paid back the loan. So the second one is called present value. What is present value? It is the value of a future amount in today's dollar now. Take note of that word, now. So if you are holding an iPhone in your hand now, so the present value of that iPhone is the value in the market as at today. The value of the market as at today. If I go to a laptop shop and I want to buy a laptop and they say the laptop costs 200,000, the present value of that laptop is 200,000. I can also call it the present worth. And I also, in general terms, you can also call it the initial investments, the monetary value, the present worth, the present value. Okay, the third one is the future value. It is the value of a single deposited amount or series of amounts at some point in the future, and it is also called future worth. Now, If I buy this iPhone today, and they say this is iPhone XR, the value is around maybe 250,000 in the market. In the next 2 years, this iPhone is going to be worth 100,000. Yes, because it is a depreciable item. So if you now ask me what will be the value of this iPhone in 2023, I will tell you it is 100,000. So that is the future worth. Conversely, in an asset that appreciates, it could go up. So if my house today, the present worth of my house today is, let's say, 20 million, and the land appreciates by, let's say, 10% every year, it means in the next 5 years, that house is going to double, because 10% per annum is about 2 million. In 5 years, it's 10 million. So that means in 5 years' time, the worth of that house is 30 million. So if I give you a something now and say, what is the future value in 5 years? It is you now multiply it by the interest, by the appreciation or depreciation, depending whether the asset is appreciating or depreciation. And that is what we call the future value. The future value, sometimes the future value of an investment can be zero. In most renewable energy projects, when we are looking at the future value, we assume that it's zero. If I invest in this project, in the next 10 years, the project is as good as dead. The batteries are gone. The PV panels are gone. So it means I have to reinvest again. I have to change virtually 80–90% of the components. So why some at the future time, the assets might have a salvage value. We are still coming to that. The next economic terms is called life cycle costing. I've explained it before. This is a sum of the present value of all costs of a system over its lifespan. Take note of that word. The present value of all costs of a project. You know, that is why many people fail in business, because let me give you one illustration I usually use when I do cost analysis classes. If you go to the market to buy a laptop now, and they say the laptop is 200,000, it will be wrong to come back and say that this laptop costs 200,000. The reason is that while you are going to buy that laptop, you enter the taxi and they charged you. When you got to the laptop place, they told you about the software, antivirus, 10,000, you bought it. They told you about Microsoft Word, the latest version, you bought it. They told you about AutoCAD, you bought it. They told you about the charger, you bought. They told you about, you know, before you know it, the indirect costs or the annual costs, the annual maintenance cost of that laptop. And then maybe the laptop is such that you bought it from the original supplier, and they will tell you that every year you need to bring it out for maintenance. And that maintenance will cost, let's say, 5,000 per annum. So if somebody now asks you, how much did you buy the laptop? It is wrong. Based on life cycle costing, you cannot say that laptop cost 200,000. You need to build in all these costs. Even the ones that are not annual, you need to find their annual components and aggregate them. Are you with me? So this is very important. So then the next one is the net present value. Now we've talked about present value, and now you are seeing net. We all know that whenever you see net is an implication of, it's like a subtraction. It's like a net. You know, when we have gross, we have net. So normally when we say net profits, it means after you must have removed your cost. Okay, net profit means production cost minus sales cost. Okay, so now net present value is the difference between the present value of an investment, future's net cash flow, and the initial investment. The initial investment plus the net. So if I invest in a project today, and in the next 5 years, that project will be worth, let's say I invest in a project today and I invested 100,000 in a project, and after at the end of the year, the project is worth 120,000. My net present value of that cost will now be 120 minus 100, bringing it forward to today's time. That is what net present value means. So it's a very, very important economic indicator to know whether a project is viable or not. So let's pay a particular attention on the net present value. It is very important because if something is worth 100 naira today, and after every expensive running it and everything, in 1 year's time, it is worth 120. It means as of today, the project is already worth 20 naira. It means if I decide not to invest in that, if I decide to invest in that project, or if there's an alternative, that alternative must be able to pay 20 naira for me to leave this one. Because it means that at today, that project has going to add value by a margin of 20. So, but then there's another thing important about the net present value. Whenever the net present value is 0, it means that the project will equate the investment and the cost. In other words, if NPV is 0, the project will equate to investing the same amount of dollar at the desired rates. And it is also called the net present worth. So at the point where the net present value is 0, it means at that point you're not losing, you're not gaining. Take note of that. Take note of that. If this project is worth 100 naira and after running it in 2 years' time, it is still worth 100 naira, it means that the NPV at that point is 0. Because we say that the NPV is different between the present value and of the future and the present. Then another good thing is that at that point where the NPV is 0, the particular interest, the particular depreciation that made that thing to be to be 0 is called the internal rate of return. Internal rate of return. Internal rate of return is a measure for you to know at what point do I make profit, to what point do I make loss. So at IRR, you are neither making profit, you're neither making loss. So what it helps you to do is to benchmark, is to kind of draw a red line to say anything less than this, I'm not going to invest. I use Julius Berger, for example, for some people. I tell them that Julius Berger cannot invest in a project that is less than 50% interest. I mean, if you're a contractor and you are given a project and you are told that the profit margin is 2%, I bet you will not invest. Most contractors will tell you, if I don't have 20% on it, I'm not investing. Okay, so one of us is calling. Let me know why, please. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, apology, please. One of us is, I think he's using the wrong link. Okay, so at the point where your investment is not giving you profit and it's not giving you loss is what we call internal rate of return. It's called the internal rate of return. Please take note of that. The next one is interest rate. The interest rate, we all know what interest rate means, but then this is the in thing now. Interest rates can mean different things. This term can be used differently. If you are borrowing money, you can call it the finance rate. Yes, if you are borrowing money, you call it the finance rate. If you're investing money, you call it the interest rate. So it depends on where you're coming from, whether you are borrowing money or you're investing money. Then banks also call it, some institution or in some field, they call it the hurdle rate. And then some big companies also call it discount rates. So all these rates, they all mean the same thing. Whether it's a interest rate, capital rate, whatever rate. At first you hear the word rate and the unit is in percentage. It depends on where you're coming from. It depends on whether you're a borrower or you're a lender. And that's what defines what it is. If you're a borrower, you call it a different thing based on your field. In banks, they call it hurdle rate. So there are about 4 names you can call it. Please take note. Hurdle rate. In fact, some people call it cost of capital. Yes, cost of capital. In other words, if I'm a contractor now and I want to go and borrow money, okay, if I borrow money to execute that project, I need to include the financial rates, the interest rate at which I'm borrowing that money. It has to be part of it. So that when the contractor is, when my client is paying me back, he also has to pay me based on the cost of capital. So even if I borrow 100 naira and they're charging me 10% after 1 month, my client will pay me 110 naira because 10 naira is the cost of capital, which is at 10%. Then there's also what we call minimum acceptable rate of return. He said the rate determined by a company or organization to be the minimum allowed or required for investment. This is what I just explained now. If you're a contractor or you're a contractor and I give you a job of 100 million, and I'm telling you that the profit is only 1 million, I bet you will not do it because that is about 1%. Even if I tell you that the profit is 5 million, you might not do it because if you are going to the bank to borrow that money, bank might be borrowing you at 20%. 20% of 100 million is already 20 million. So that money cannot even, the interest, the profit cannot even pay for the interest. So based on this, companies usually establish a benchmark, a baseline, sorry. They usually establish a baseline to say, for us to invest in Nigeria, for us to invest in this business, our return must be more than 30%, 40%, 50%. I know some contractors in Abuja, if they want to do contract, if they look at your bill of quantity and they cannot see 40% profits, they will not do. Why? Because they know that before they pay bank, before they give kickbacks here and there, they must have spent 20%. So that value, that 40% that they mark is what we call minimum. Some people call it minimum attractive rate. Please, at this point, let me say this. Some of these interest financial terms can be used interchangeably. They mean the same thing. If I say MARR or I said IIRR, they virtually mean interest, but it depends on the value and it depends on what have been incorporated inside it. That is just what it means. And it depends on who is using it. If a company is using it, they will use the word minimum attractive rate of return. Okay? Then if it is bank that want to borrow you money, they will call it our minimum acceptable rate of return. In other words, if you are giving you money and you are not taking it at 20%, we are not giving you. Or if you are giving us money and you are asking us to pay at 30%, it is unacceptable. Therefore, we will not take it. Please, my apology for taking time to lay this foundation because I know it's very important. Then depreciation, amount of economic value that is used up during the accounting period. Depreciation is not a cash flow. It is for accounting purposes only. We'll still come to that. So depreciation is the loss in value, loss in economic value in an investment. Okay? If you buy something, a car today, in 5 years' time, it would have lost 50 or 20% of its value. So that is depreciation. Then next one, we have payback period. What is payback period? It's simply the number of years needed to recover an initial investment. The number of years needed to recover an initial investment. The simplest way, which is the straight line method of a payback period, is just to say the present investment, P, or the present value over the annuity. Okay? If I invest 100 naira over a period of 5 years and it's paying me 20 naira every year, it means, sorry, let me put it in a proper perspective. If I borrow 100 naira and every year I'm getting 20 naira, the payback period will be 100 over 20, which is 100 over 20 will give you 5. So it means the payback period is 5 years. That's not what it means. So payback period is simply the cost of investment over the annuity or over the return. Cost of investment over the return on investment. That will give you number of period that you pay back period. But there's a problem with this. It is not always accurate. And why is it not accurate? Because it ignores the time value of money. Because 20 naira today is not 20 naira in 5 years' time. So if I just say 20 over 100 over 20 and say that is how it's going to be every year, no, there will be a mistake in it. That means there must be what we call a discounted payback period. And that discounted payback period simply means we have incorporated the concept of the time value of money. It means we have discounted it. We have calculated it after discounting the next cash flow. using the minimum attractive or acceptable rate of return. In other words, discounted payback period is a better economic indicator than a simple payback period. Salvage value. The value of the equipment at the end of the project life, I've explained this before, and the word speaks for itself. But then salvage value can be positive, it can also be negative. It is positive if you are selling to get some money. Then it is negative if you are going to pay to dispose it. So there are some investment that before you even discard it, you have to pay money to discard it. Then the last one is the life of a project. Every project has a lifespan. Every project have a lifespan. Every investment have a lifespan. Even if it doesn't have a lifespan, at some point it will lose its value, or at some point it's as good as you are starting afresh. That could be its lifespan. So we must have every project must have a lifespan for you to be able to conduct an economic analysis on it. There must be concept of lifespan. How long is it going to last? If you go to the bank and borrow money, you don't borrow money indefinitely. They will give you a specific time to pay back. It could be 1 year, it could be 2 years, it could be 1 day, it could be 2 days, but there must be a time limit, because borrowing money itself is a project. Even life itself is a project. We're not going to live here forever. At some point, we too, our projects will come to a life, come to an end. So sometimes it could be 70, it could be 80, it could be 90, it could be 100 years, whatever you decide with your creator. Same applies to projects. So let's go to a big one now. Everything we're discussing in this class is hinged on that concept of time value of money. It's a very important economic indicator. Very, very important. The concept of time value of money. So in discussing time value of money, there are 5 parameters I would like us to take note. There are 5 parameters that can be used to evaluate any project. And what are those parameters? The first one is the present worth, and we're going to represent it as P. Is the amount of money at the present time. Then we have the future worth, represented as F. Is the amount of money at some future time. Then next we have A, which is the annual worth, or a series of equal end of period amount of money. Then finally we have the N, which is the number of interest period. Number of interest period, or the number of years, the last span of a project. Then I is the interest rates, the interest period. Okay, it could be uniform, it could be varying, but there must be interest rates. Even if you don't know what the interest rate is, I encourage you to use the inflation rate, because the inflation rate has a way of correlating with the interest rate. The inflation rate in Nigeria now is about 17% as at 2021. That's why you cannot go to any bank. No bank can give you loan at less than 17%. Even when CBN is giving them interest at between 11 and 13%, they will still have to go and give you a 20, 22, 20, some 25%. Why? Because of risk. Why? Because of other overhead that they have. Why? Because of inflation. Okay, so take note of these 5 indicators. So every question about energy, about what we're doing, must involve one of these 5. So any figure that you are giving must come into one of these. The most common engineering problem involve the use of I and N, and at least 2 of the remaining 3 items. So what we're saying here is that any problem that you are to solve will always involve the number of years and the interest term. Those 2 are always established. Those 2 are always there. We know what the interest rates. I just mentioned the interest rate that bank are giving. So if I walk into any bank and I'm expecting to get interest loan at less than 20%, then I should try another country. Then if I'm going to borrow money from a bank, or I'm investing in a project and I feel that the project, I'm buying a car and I think that the car will last forever, I'm kidding. the car will last for a while. Maybe after 10 years, the car will be non-motorable. It means I have to either discard it, okay, and recoup some salvage value, or I will pay money to have a negative salvage value. If I sell it and get some money, that will be a positive salvage value. If I'm to pay somebody to come and remove it from my compound, that will be negative. Cash flow diagrams. Take note of this. When we say net cash flow, we are talking about revenue minus expenses, which can also be receipt minus disbursements. So every project has cash receipts, income, and cash disbursement cost. So every project has income and cost. If I buy a new generating set today, worth 115 naira, and it's saving me 150,000, and it's saving me 15,000 every month. It means in 10 months, I would have broken even. It means in 10 months, I would have made the money. I'll save up to the money I use in buying it. So that is income minus the cost. This receipt and disbursement in a given time interval are referred to as cash flow. Positive sign usually represent receipts, while negative sign usually represent costs at any point of time. Since each receipt or disbursement takes place at a certain time during interest period, a simplifying assumption is made that all cash flow occur at the end of interest period. Now, there are some interests you take, you pay at the beginning, some you pay at the end. But for the purpose of our training, we are assuming end of the year, end of period convention. So if you take interest now, you pay the interest in January, and it starts using the money. But some, it is at the end of December that you use the money. So this is what a cash flow diagram looks like. It's simply up, positive, down, negative. Okay, it simply means any cash that comes in will go up, like you have a P here. Okay, then anyone that goes out will be what? Anyone that goes out will be what? Negative. Then also, you can also extrapolate from day 4 to the end of the year. So I think we will go through this thing, we're going to understand it fully. Oh, so let's give an example when we're talking about this. If I'm to receive $10,000 in 5 years, what is the present worth? What is the present worth of $10,000 to be received 5 years in the future? So what is the worth of $10,000 today? Okay, so if you discount it at 10%, it is about 6,209 naira. What this thing means is that if I invest $6,000 today in a good bank that is giving me 10%, in 5 years' time, I'm going to get 10,000. I think it makes sense. That is why yesterday I learned that Nigerian debt, our repayment has reached 91%. I'm not trying to discourage somebody from borrowing money, but I know that if you're a businessman, if you're an investor, if you're a contractor, you cannot do away with borrowing money. But then let's be careful with our repayments, with the interest rates. High interest rates can be killing. There's some money you borrow at some interest rates. In the next 5-10 years, that money will have doubled. And that is why you see, after about 10 years of borrowing, our GDP, our budget now, almost 90% of our budget now is used in repaying loans, because those loans were borrowed at a very, very high interest rate. In international balance, I don't see any loan going beyond 5%, 2%, 3%, sometimes 1%. But you see the Nigerian government borrowing money from countries like China at 9%, at 10%. And that is why in a short while, you see us, well, let me just focus on this training. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. The take home is that always take note of the interest rates of your borrowing. A higher interest rate. Yeah, Joseph, you want to say something? I want to collaborate what I said. Yeah, Joseph, you can talk.
Hello.
Unmute yourself, yes.
I just wanted to add something to the issue of borrowing. I think part of the problem we have most of the times as a country or individuals, you know, when you borrow monies at times and then you decide to defer the principal and then you are servicing the interest. This most of the times account for these problems we're having now. So I think that is where Nigerians have found themselves. Yeah, the principal at times we don't service it. We think we have serviced the interest. Why? At the end of the day, you are being charged for not paying for the principal. That is just what I want to add.
Yeah, that's true. Let me also add to what you said. Also, we'll get to know this now. If you borrow money, restructure the payment such that you'll be paying the interest and the principal.
Principal, yeah.
Yes. Structure it so that you'll be paying the interest, you'll be paying the principal. Don't just pay the interest and leave the principal.
The principal, yeah.
If you are paying the interest and the principal and you amortize it for a period of say 10 years, in 10 years' time, if you are consistent, if the investment is generating revenue, you pay up. And another problem is that when you are borrowing money to invest, that's why it's not good to borrow money to eat, to feed. It's better to borrow money to invest in a profitable venture. Okay? Then if you are borrowing money to build infrastructure, let me just chip in this because my background is infrastructure. You must make sure that that infrastructure must pay for itself. Must pay for itself. If you borrow money now, I'm giving my offense on people, but sorry. If you are building a railway line from Castina to Maradi, you need to ask yourself, what is the economic income of that road? Because the British in the 1960s, they refused to build it because they saw that nothing is coming from that angle. I'm sorry, somebody don't be feel offended, but I'm just making a point. So part of our problem in borrowing is that when you borrow money to feed, to pay school fees, to buy rice, or you are clean. But if you borrow money to do business or to execute a contract that will bring in return, and then you're able to structure it in such a way, like Joseph said, you are paying the interest and you're paying the capital, you are good to go. There's nothing wrong in borrowing. Thank you. Okay. Now, I'm going to explain 5 ways. Any problem you're going to encounter in terms of interest and repayments will come in form of, number 1, single payment compound factor. Single payment compound factor. Okay. And this is when you want to find the future value of a given present value at n number of years and I interest rates per year. Here is the mathematical formula. This is, if you want to find the future, multiply the present plus 1 plus the interest rates raised to power the number of years. Some of us must know, some of us have come across this before now. But in this class, don't crack your head about this formula because we'll be using what we call interest table. Just like we have 4-figure tables in our secondary school. Those of you that do design, we have different charts that we use design. There's a table called interest table. Chima showed us a power factor table yesterday. If you want to calculate the power factor, the level of capacitor bank that you build, don't need to crack your head. Just multiply the power, the real power by that interest power factor, and to give you the capacity, the size of capacitor bank that you need to add to improve your power factor. Okay, now what I want us to understand is this formula. You see, everything you see here is in interest table. If you go to the interest table will give you the value at a certain number of years, at a certain interest rates, if you are looking for the future value and you are given P. So whenever you see something like this, gentlemen and ladies, this thing means I'm looking for F and I'll be given P. In mathematical terms, you now say F given P. And this is how it is done. Okay. Then the second one is single payment present factor, which is just the opposite of the other one. In this case now, you are to find the present value of a given future value. So in this case now, you are giving a money in the future. Example is, the example I just gave now is like, I want to send my son into US to study medicine. and the fee for medical courses in US is $75,000. And she's meant to go to start school in 5 years' time. How much should I invest today? And at what interest rates? You find out that I'll be investing, let's say 60 or 50,000. And in 5 years' time, the interest accruing to that will be amount to 75. So that's an example of what this thing says. It's a single payment present worth. What is the present worth of a future amount? And it is represented mathematically like this. As I said, it is just the opposite of this. So these two are just opposites. In this case, you are looking for the future, you are giving the present. And in the second one, you're looking for the present, you are giving the future. And at every point, I want to encourage us to ask me questions. Please, you can pause me and ask me questions because some of us are not familiar with some of these things. And I quite understand. So feel free to call me back. And in this class, we will not be making use of the chat box. Please, you can easily go to your chat box and ask questions. Just go to the chat box if you don't want to interrupt the class. Go to the chat box and type me questions. And I will respond because I will hear a signal here. Then the third one is what we call uniform series present worth. This is very important. This one is very important now, uniform series. And what is it? It is said to find the present worth, knowing the equivalent uniform annual amount per year at a particular interest. So what this means that somebody wants to be paying me 10,000 every year for the next 5 years. What is the value of that money as of today? Somebody will say it's the same thing as 50,000. Well, if you consider the time value of money, you'll be wrong. So if by the time we do the calculation, you find out that it might be better to be giving me, to give me about 70,000 today, or give me 50,000 in the next 5 years. They might be able to be the same thing, but then I will show us, we'll see how it goes. The fourth one is called the capital recovery factor. I think in the MBA class, that's what the executive MBAs, that's what they call it. Okay, it is called capital recovery factor. And what is this? It is to find the annual amount for n years when the interest is I%, knowing the present worth. So if I know the present worth of this car, how much can I be, how can it be splitted per year to be worth the amount that is worth today? And it is represented this way, in this formula. What this thing means, I'm looking for A, I am giving P, I'm giving I, I'm giving N. In other words, how do I recover this capital? What equal installment payments can be given to me to equate this capital? And that is why the word it is called capital recovery factor. The next one is called sinking fund factor. Sinking fund factor simply means to find the equivalent annual worth, knowing a future worth. If in 5 years' time, my house will be worth 50 million in 5 years' time, what is the worth per year? That's what it means. Somebody will say, well, it is 50 divided by 5, which is 10 million. No, it might not be. It might work differently. Why? Because of the time value of money. Because 50,000 naira in 5 years' time is not 50,000 naira today. It's not 50,000 naira in 1 year. It is not the same thing as 50,000 in 2 years. So you must add that time value of money, that interest, borrowing interest, that cost of capital must be added to it. So these are the 5. Okay, there's a sixth one. The sixth one now is to find the future worth, knowing the uniform equal annual worth. So in this case now, we are trying to find the future worth, knowing the annual worth. 10,000 in the next 5 years. Will it be the same thing as 50,000 in 5 years' time? Yes or no? The answer is no. Why? Because of time value of money. So these are the 6 terms. So before we go into calculation, let me just say this. These are those terms I explained to you. PAIN. If you see this formula written this way, everything on top means what I want to know. Everything under is given what I do know. So these are all the things under. So like in this case now, I'm giving N, I, A, and this is, I want to know P. So the explanation of this now is that find P, given that A, I, and N are known. So whenever you see this formula here, like this one in the bracket, this one now, okay, this thing simply means I'm looking for A, which is here, and I'm giving P, I'm giving I, and I'm giving N. So this is summary of everything I've said now. I think after now we're going to calculation, yes. This is summary of everything I've said now, and that's exactly the 1 hour I promised. So this is everything I've said now. There are 6 ways to solve any question. Any economic cost question must fall into any of these 6. Any of these 6 will capture it. So it's either you're talking about to find P, to find F, given P. The formula is this. And look at how you represent it. I'm looking for F, and I'm giving P. Therefore, I'll multiply P by what we call table factor. So everything inside this bracket is called a table factor. So instead of cracking my head, I'll just go to a table. The table will give me the value of this. And we're going to do that shortly. Then if you decide to say you know mathematics and you want to use mathematics to solve it, this is the formula you use. And the second one is just for you to make F P. If you make P the subject of the formula, it will give you this. And it means to find P given F. So my last line here is that what you are asked to give, what you are given, you multiply what you are giving with the table factor. Please, that should sink in. If you are given the value of A, P, or what, and asked to find another thing, another value, just multiply what you are given by a table factor, considering the I, the N, and other variables, which we're going to do shortly. So if you are given P and A, if you are to find A, given P, if you are to find P, this is number 3 now. If you are to find P, given A, all you need to do is to multiply A by the table factor of P over A, considering I, considering N. And mathematically, this is the formula, which I said I'm not interested in the mathematical formula, because there are 2 ways I can solve this. It's either I use Excel or I use interest table. But for the purpose of this class, I'll just be showing you how to use the interest table. If time will permit, I will just do one using Excel, just for you to have an idea where to see the formulas. And also to be able to have a control to know whether you're doing is right or wrong. Okay. Now let's simply move to the first question. Let's not even waste time. Okay, this is the first question we'll be considering now. So any questions so far? Any question? Is it well understood? Okay. Now, can we go through this question?
Yeah. I would like to ask a question, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. When we're talking about the present value, what net value and all sort of, I want to ask: is it every value that can be translated to naira or dollar worth? Are there other form of values that can be included or measured, not necessarily in terms of value, maybe like in satisfaction or some other means?
Okay, thank you. That's a very good question, I must say. Now, let me say this. There are other values. Remember when we talk about audits on the first day, we say there are 3 types of audits. There's level 1 audit, also known as a walkthrough audit. There's level 2 audit, known as a detailed audit. And we have level 3 audits, called investment grade audit. Now, the difference between these 3 audits is that the difference between level 2 and level 3, they're almost the same thing. But the difference is level 3 audit considers other kind of satisfaction, which is what you're saying. And those satisfactions are environmental satisfaction and social satisfaction. There's a social and environmental modeling, or social and environmental consideration. Now, we all know that everything is not about money. There are social investments. There are some things that government will do. They don't want to make profit. When you tell them that the internal rate of return is zero, sorry, when you tell them that the net present value is zero, they are happy. They're not making profit, they're not making gain. But then it helps to keep youths out of the streets. Okay? Sometimes they call it social investment. There's some social investment, just like in the US, in Germany, in some of these developed countries. If you don't have a job, they pay you money, they pay for your house rent, or they give you some stipends. They are not giving you to make you jobless, but they are giving you for you not to go and become a criminal, for you not to go and become a suicide bomber, or for you not to go and commit crime. Okay, so yes, the question is yes, but this is the in thing now. Investors are not interested in whether you are satisfied, whether you are living in a good environment. Investors are interested in Naira and Kobo, Naira and dollar. If I go to Siemens now and said, come and invest hydropower in Abuja, in my village, sorry. Do it because we are village people. Do it because you are rich and we are poor. Do it because you want to help Africa. They will not come. I can bet you. They will not come. If you go to a company and you say you want to do audit for them, and you tell them that after this audit, everybody will be happy, everybody will feel good, there won't be heat. If I change all the LCD incandescent bulbs, there will be a reduction of heat. If I reduce the AC from 17 degrees to about 22 degrees, everybody will still feel fine. That's not what they're listening to you. What they want to listen to you is to say, Oga, if you change this bulb, instead of you paying 15 Naira in electricity bill, you'll be paying 5 Naira. The man will be happy. So, not everything will involve money, but money is the most important one. And money is the most critical one. At the end of the day, your results, your report must show how the dollar is being saved. It must show how money is being saved, because you must show how cost, because that is what the client, that is what the manager, that's what management is interested in. Management is interested not in the welfare of workers, sorry, with all due respect. They are not too concerned about the welfare of workers or the social working condition of workers or the environmental working condition of workers. They are more interested in paying back their benefactors, in paying back in paying rent, in paying workers, and making profits. Thank you. Okay. So this question says, a new lighting system, watch this now. A new lighting system will last 6 years and save $5,000 per year. The company purchasing it requires a hurdle rate of 15% in order to meet the company's financial requirements. How much can they pay for the lighting? A company wants to come and give you lights that will save you 5,000 per year, and the interest rate is 15%. How much, what's the maximum amount will you pay for that investment? How much will you pay for that investment? Okay, so now that it brings me to the next question. Now, the next thing we need to use. I want us to go to our materials and let's open the interest table. There's an interest table. Sorry. Go to the material, the folder. There's a file called interest table. Can we open it? Or you can, this interest table now is not just we that produced it. No, let me just do something now. If you go on internet now, and I would like everybody, if you're online, you can try it. Or if you're not online, don't worry about it. If you're online, just go anywhere online on Google and type interest table. It will bring millions of it. Interest table. Okay. This is image. You can see they're all the same. They're all the same. There are millions of it. There are millions of it. So these are all interest table in Google. These are all interest table. Okay. Then if I didn't put image, if I say all, I can download some. I can come down here. I can click anyone. Okay, let me say online Willy. I can download interest table. I can click this one. It's coming. So there are many interest tables. The emphasis I want to make is that there's nothing special about the interest table. You can see it. It's an open source. It's just there on it online. You can go anytime on internet and you can download. Okay, look at it. It has opened. You see, this is interest table. So here, it's giving you the percentage. So you just check, use any one. I still come here. This is another interest table. This one is from Ultimate Accountant Reference from John Willy and Sons. Maybe they produce this one, but it's the same thing. So if you come here, you see the interest table will tell you number of years at 1%, at 2%, at 13%. So it depends on what you want to do. But for this, our training today, we already have one. We've looked into them and we found out that this one is very, very comprehensive and very self-explanatory. So you open the interest table. So this is how you use the interest table. It's a very simple thing to use. Each page has a particular interest rate. So there are about 30 tables here. The difference is in their interest. This one is 1/4%. If you go down, let me say I go to page 10. Page 10 is our 2.5% interest. Let's go to page 15 or 18. This is 8%. So if the work is at 8%, I'll just come to this interest table within 8%. Okay. If the job is 10%, then I'll go down and look for the particular interest that is for 10%. This is 9. This is 10. So that's how to choose which particular sheets. They are calibrated based on the interest rates. Then on the column, the first column is the number of years. N. Number of years or number of repayment time. It is not every investment that lasts years. Some investments are given based on monthly. Some banks will give you loan based on monthly or weekly. Depends. Can be monthly, but be weekly. But N simply represents what is the repayment terms. Are you repaying weekly? Are you repaying monthly? Are you repaying annually? Are you repaying monthly? Are you repaying weekly? Are you repaying annually? That is what determines how long. What value you use, sorry, in N. Then these other ones now are what we just explained. The first one means I'm looking for F and I'm giving P. And it's called single payment compound amount. That was the one I just explained to us. The second one is the single payment present worth. And it means I'm looking for the present worth given the future worth. So these two values are just inverse of the same, of the other. If you check the inverse of 1.2, it will give you 0.82. You can try it. If you're looking for the inverse of 1.6, it will be giving you 0.62. Somebody should try it. 1 divide, let's say 1.611. It will give you 0.262009. It's giving me 0.7, but it's the same thing to 4 decimal places. Then sinking fund factor. This means I'm looking for A and I'm giving F. Capital recovery factor. It is to find A given P. So it's even there. Compound amount factor. This thing, when you see this thing now, it means find F given A. and so on and so forth. That's my notation. So this is it. So this is given, find F, given A. Present word factor means I'm looking for the present words, which is I'm asked to find P, and I'm given the A. Please note the difference. This one is that I'm giving P, I'm looking for P, and I'm giving F. And this one is I want to find A, and I've been given P. Very, very important, please. So let me go back and just show us something. Yeah. Here. You see, this one means to find F given P. So what I'll do, I'll multiply the value of P by the interest. This thing is interest factor, table factor. We call this table factor. And all the things in this parentheses is called table factor. So if you want to know the table factor for this one, this is F over P. So I'll go to my interest table, F over P. F over P, where is it? F over P. So that is this first one. So based on 10%, based on number of years, I will now read off the value. So that is how to read this interest table. So by the time we solve one or two equations, I think the thing will sink in. It's definitely sinking. So how do you proceed now? A new lighting system will last 6 years. So the first thing you would do is, let me go to my whiteboard. Good. So back to the question. Will last 6 years. It means my N is 6. So N N is equal to what? 6 years. What did he say again? And it saves 5,000 per year. That 5,000 per year will make you understand that that is talking about annuity. It's talking about the A. It's talking about the annual amount. It's talking about the annual savings. So in that case, N A, sorry, is equal to 5,000. What again are we giving? The company purchasing it requires a hurdle rate of 15%. So the interest rate is 15%. I is equal to 15%. And what I will have to find? The question says, in order to meet the company's financial requirements, how much can they pay now? So they didn't put now, but how much can they pay for the lighting system? So what can they pay for it to be equitable that the project will save 5,000 per year and they will still make a profit of 15%, or they will still repay their loan, which they have borrowed at 15%. So in other words, we're looking for the P. That's the point I want to make. So here, we're looking for the P. Question mark, where's question mark? So which formula are we looking for? So if you go to the interest table, if you ask yourself, the interest table can guide you, can give you an idea. That's why I love this interest table. It can give you an idea. First of all, we're talking about 15%. So I'll first of all go to 15%. Yeah, this is 15%. We are looking for P, and we are given A. We are looking for P, where is it? And we are given A. So we're going to look for the present word factor. Present word factor. And I think I should be able to copy this. Let me see if you do paste. Sorry. Undo is not working. Yes. Okay. So we are looking for P. P will be equal to F bracket P. No, sorry. It's going to be A over A at particular interest I and particular number of years N. So that's the formula we're going to use. So what we need to do is multiply the annual amount by a particular, the annual amount by a particular interest from the table. So if I'm going to my test, this is what we are given. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for, look, this is it. So we're looking for the uniform series present worth. And it says it is to find present worth, knowing the equivalent uniform annual amount. In our question, it says that the project will be saving $5,000 every year. So that is the same thing as equivalent annual amount. The number of years is 6, and the interest rate is 15. So we should be able to find the present worth. So the present worth will now be P is equal to, what is A? A is 5,000 multiplied by, we'll now go to the table. When we go to the table, we look at where I is 15%, N is 6 years, and we'll not get the value at that point. So if I go to the interest table now, first of all, scroll to where the interest is 15%. And that's where I am now, where the interest is 15%. That's the first place I scroll to. Okay. Then when I get to this point, the number of years is 6. And what I'm trying to find is P given A. So I'll come to 6 years here. Remember, I'm on 15% table. So this is 6 years. I'll come to 6 years under P over A, and I'm getting 3.784. Please, can somebody confirm? 3.784. Confirm that you're able to read it. Please, I want it to be participatory. 3.784. Now we'll go from the table. Look for the table at 15%. N is 6 years, 6 equal repayment terms. The value will pop up. $3.784 multiply by 5,000. That will give you P is equal to 18,920. So what is the meaning of this? What this means is that if the investors came and they want to sell the machine that will save 5,000 for me every year, and after 6 years it will stop, and they sell the worth of the machine is more than 18,920, I should not buy. That's the meaning. The other meaning is this, gentlemen. It's either you give me 18,920 now, or you give me 5,000 in 6 years. Giving me 5,000 in 6 years and giving me 18,920 today, they are the same thing. Any question? I expect somebody to ask question, unless you want to tell me all of you understand it very well. So this is what we have been able to amortize in some balance in mortgage. They call it amortized. Okay, if you amortize this money at 15%, and that's what we talk about loan. So it means if I borrow this 18,920 for 6 years, and I want to pay it off in 6 years' time, then it means I'll be paying 5,000 naira every year. So if without time value of money, you can tell me that 5,000 naira in 6 years will be 5 times 6, which is 30,000. But no, if you consider the time value of money, that the money is losing value at the rate of 15% every year, you know that that money is worth about 18,920. Any question? Any question before I continue?
So I want to ask, please, let's go back to the last slide. I mean, the analysis that you did.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Always remind me to switch over to.
No, the one you just did about the 5,000 in 6 years, and okay, this one. So, sorry, I want to just understand what this is trying to say to me. Are you saying that if that particular equipment costs 18,920 naira, and I am paying, I mean, if I borrow this money to invest in such an equipment, and then at the end of 3 years, it means that, and I'm paying back at the rate of this 15,000 to the bank, or maybe say from the to the lender. At the end of the day, I wouldn't have gained anything in investing in such an equipment that will be saving me this 5,000 naira every year. Is that what you are trying to say, sir?
That's what he's saying. That's exactly what he's saying, sir. So what the other way to look at it is that it means you should not buy this equipment. If you want to make more profits, you should not know how much you buy this equipment. So what this thing is telling you is that it's telling you that this is the limit. This is the maximum you can ever buy this equipment. Thank you. So that's where your profit now comes. Yeah.
Or this is the minimum saving it should give me.
Thank you. This is the minimum saving you should give you, or this is the maximum investment you should make.
I should make.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I think I understand.
It's giving you, it's giving you baselines. It's establishing is benchmarking the profits against the costs. So now, one thing I want to tell you is this. Now the bank is giving you this money at 15%. It means if this investment cost, if they come and say that this investment is about 25,000, then you should now go and work out with your bank and tell your bank that 15% is too high. Are you with me, sir?
I understand now.
Yeah, it means the bank should now go and work on this. Okay.
Or else I will look for equivalent equipment that can save me maybe like 10,000.
10,000. Thank you.
It's okay.
Yes.
To be able to be profitable.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Understand. Thank you.
Yeah. So any other question again? Please, if you ask questions like this, it helps the anchor person to know that you are following. Not asking questions means two things. It means you're not understanding anything, or you're understanding everything. And it's difficult. Those two extremes are too wide. So is there any way we can ask question? Good. Now, this will be a one-off thing. Let me just show you if you want to use Excel. Now, if you want to use Excel to do this now, I want to use Excel. Can you see my screen?
No, we are still seeing your whiteboard. Okay.
Okay. If you want to use Excel now, let me just show us how to use Excel now to solve this. So let me open a new Excel before I come to this and show us some things. Or rather, let me share with us where they have been solved using Excel. So that's what I'll do. And I'll share with us now. Let me share. Let me pause again. So look at how to solve it with Excel. This is the same question in Excel now. So what I will do is I will come here, I will type interest or rate. This is the rate or interest. Is 15%. You put it in percentage. Number of years or lifespan. Number of years or the lifespan. You should know how to understand how to the lifespan is 6 years. And the savings is 5,000. The savings is 5,000. So we're now looking for the present value. Is that how you call it the present value or you call it present what? So how to do it in Excel is you just create a table like this, format a table like this, okay? You go to formulas. You go to formulas. You go to financial. Formula menu, you go to financials. When you go to financial, you see different financial indicators. You go to the one written PV, present value. You click on it. When you click on the present value, it will bring out a dialog box like this. What you do is that for any value that you put your cursor inside, you can read the meaning here. So if I put my cursor here, it will tell me rate is interest rate per period. Per period. So the interest rate is 15%. So while my cursor is inside here, I'll go and click on 15%. So it will capture it as C7. Column C, row 7. That's how Excel does. I'll click on the second one, N per number of years. What is the lifespan of that project? The lifespan is 6 years. I'll go and click on 6 years. Why we are putting it in this format is that if I decide to change anything here, if I decide to do sensitivity analysis, I don't need to, I will, that's why if you're working with Excel, always work with the cells, do cell operations, so that if you want to change any value, it will automatically update. Then PMT is what is called the payment. In Excel, it is called payment, but in our literature, we call it annuity. We call it annual amount. And in this question, they say it is savings. So you see, it's good for you to understand the concept of the system. Then no matter how the word are used interchangeably, you'll be able to decipher what they mean, which means what. Out of those 5 I told you, P, F, A, I, N. So in this question now, we know what is P. Okay, here is our, sorry. Okay, sorry, I'm sorry, I go back to formula. Let me start all over again. I go to P. P. The log box will come out. The rate is 15%. The number of years is 6. The payment that is coming in or the savings is the periodic savings, the periodic money, the periodic savings, the annual what is 5. Does it have a future value? The future value is 0. So either I put 0 here or I put nothing. I leave it blank. In Excel, it's either you put 0 or you leave it blank. The same thing. Then under type, I'll leave it blank because it says that 1 is if payment is at the beginning of term, I should put 1. If payment at the end of the year, end of period, I should leave 0 or I should omit it. So in these are payment terms. Payment, if you borrow in January, you pay by December. If you pay at the beginning of the year, you pay at the end of the 5 years. That kind of, or the end of the year. So payment comes at the end. So I'll just leave it blank. Then I'll click OK. And the answer will pop up. So it's either use Excel or you use manual to solve it. So once again, what did I do? So once again, you find out that this is our I. This is our N. These are A. And these are PV. Or P, sorry. That's what I said. Every question must be either P or F to find F or A. And you must be given I and N. Those are the 5 things. This is the present. This is the future. This is the annuity, annual savings, annual amount. This is the interest. And this is the number of years, which can also mean number of payment term or lifespan or the duration of the project. So in this case, we are given A and we have to find P. And based on our interest table, what did we do? We went to the interest table, the one for 15%, written on top of here, and then at 6 years, and we read it against find P given A, which is otherwise known as the present worth factor. The question you might ask yourself somewhere along the line is, how do they come about this 5,000? So let me just quickly, this thing might take our time, but let me just demonstrate so that you know how all these small businesses they came about it. For instance, look at one lead exercise. Let me do this lead exercise in energy auditing. So this is one lead exercise, LED, sorry. So here, what do we do here? What's the question again? Let me get us the question. Here, I came to a factory and they have 5,000 bulbs to change. And I'm replacing it to another 5,000 bulbs. Watch me, gentlemen. The cost of the old bulb is $1, $1.5, $1.50. The new LED bulb is 3. The other fittings is this. And for the new one, the fittings is 5. So at the end of the day, we will get about 40,000 naira, which is the cost of replacing the old one to the new one. So when we finish it, we will now come here now. Watch this now. This might be complicated for some of us. I want us to know how they come about 5,000 because it's a very simple thing. Very, very simple. The electricity tariff is 80 euro per kilowatt. Factor for electric, this factor is just 1. Leave this factor. It doesn't make much. So for the old system, each lighting bulb is 36 watts. So for 5,000 of it, lamps, you get this. The operating time for the bulb is 2,800. 2,800 simply means, if you remember, we have 360. So 365 days times 24 hours in a day. So that will give you, sorry, let me use Excel, equals to 365 multiplied by 24. The maximum hour in a day, in a year, is about 8,760. Okay, but we say 24 hours. Sometimes this could be electricity, light that will on from 8 in the evening to 8 in the morning, or 7 to 7. Let's say 7 to 7. Therefore, this 24 will now be multiplied. 7 to 7 means 12 hours. So it's no more 24 hours. So the light ons by 24 hours. So I can change it to 12. So that will give me 4,800. Then if the light goes on for only, let's say, 5 hours, or no, 5 hours is too small. Let's say 6 hours, to give me around 2,000 something, or let's say 7 hours in a day. It's giving me something close to 2. I'm just trying to show how they got about 2,800. So when you finish, you now say electricity consumption will now be this, which is simply this by this. So at the end of the day, this is the electricity cost of the old system. Then the new system now is 18 watts, no longer at 36 watts. By the time you do your electricity capacity, it will give you 90. You multiply that 90 by the operating hours, it will give you 253. Then if you multiply 253 by the cost of electricity, which is this, it will give you, let me make it simple for us. Let's say the cost of electricity is 0.1 cent, that is 10 cents. It's making more sense now. So it means the initial cost of what I'm paying before is 50,400 per month. But when I change to LED bulbs, I'm now paying 25,200 per month. So it means my savings now is what? My savings is now 50,400 minus 25,200. In other words, what I was paying before I changed the old bulbs, T8 bulbs, and what I'm now paying when I change to LEDs. So that is how you come about that energy savings. So at the end of the day, my energy savings is what? 25,200. So that is the amount of money I'm saving every year for changing my old bulbs into new bulbs. So this thing could be AC, it could be refrigeration, it could be boilers, it could be lighting, it could be air conditioning unit, it could be heating unit, it could be airflow system, it could be compressors, it could be motors, it could be pump, it could be anything. But you have to build it to say, if we apply energy efficiency, either by conservation or by replacing old to new, this is the single amount of money we are going to save in a year. And the initial investment, what it will cost me is 40,000. We all know how we got about 40,000. We got 40,000 by the cost of pump, the cost of the lamp, plus the cost of installation, which is 8 naira. So this will be equal to 8 times the number of bulb I'm buying. So it means the cost of installation and the cost of buying the bulb is 8 naira, and I'm buying 5,000 bulbs. So that will be $40,000. So the cost is $40,000, and the savings is $25,200. So I will now come here, move over to this place. I will now build a table like this, format a table like this. The saved electricity cost is this. Is there saving in fuel cost? No. We have, like I know Chima said this yesterday, when we save fuel cost, it's like I'm using diesel to power the generator. I decided to use LPG. Okay, there could be savings in fuel cost, but in this case, we're just taking electricity from AEDC. So it's not our business whether electricity is firing with coal power, natural gas, or diesel fired plants. It's not my business. So I can as well remove this, not to confuse anybody. I can just remove it, put it blank. But that might change something. Let me just leave it. Then total energy savings is now 25,200. Okay. Is there water savings? 0. This is just a format. This is just a template. So, when you talk about energy savings, you save material, you save water, you save energy. Material, water, energy. And maybe you can save air or greenhouse emission. But let's not complicate that now. Those are for carbon reduction and for people that are signed up for Paris Accord. Okay, now the investment costs is what? 40,000. Is there any reduction in O&M cost? No. Is there any additional income from increased sale? No. What is the inflation? We're assuming that there's no inflation. Let's say within that period, inflation is negligible, which in Nigerian case is not the same. Inflation, what's the inflation? 0. What is the project lifespan? 15 years. Is there any tax rate? No. Is there any discount rate? 10%. This discount rate is interest rate. Okay, so now we will now have to find these values. What is the net present value? So let me delete this one now and let's solve it together. Okay, so so the net present value now will be this. I'll go to Excel again. Are you with me? I'll go to formulas. Okay, I'll go to financial. I'll go to the net present value. The present, let's go to the present value. The rate is what? The interest rate is 10%. Number of years, 15. The money saved is this. That's the money. Then I will now go to my formula bar. I will now say minus the initial investment. So that will give me the net present value. Okay, at this case, we've not gotten to net present value in my explanation, if not. But let me help this formula. And just hold on, stay with me. Sorry. Just hold on. So here, so the present value of the investment, what is the present value of the investment? Before I now talk about the net present value. Good. So the present value of this investment now means what is the worth of this investment now? Because that's the question we're handling now. The worth of the investment now is, I'll go to formula, go to financial, I'll go to PV. The rate is 10%, number of years, 15 years. The amount of savings is this. So this is the net present value, the present value. Then the net present value now will now be the present value of the cost minus the present value of the investment. So if I now say this present worth minus the initial investment, that will give me the NPV. That will give me the NPV. So, but before we go there, I just want to, my aim of coming here is just to demonstrate how we came about this single value of 5,000, so that let it not be strange. So for you to get this 5,000, you must have done all this exact calculation before you come to this. So let's go to the next question now. So this is the next question. The next question says, a boiler economizer will cost 20,000 naira, $20,000, and will last for 5 years. How much will the economizer have to save each year to return 12%? Let me put it in a different way now. It will cost a company to purchase a boiler economizer. I think Chima must have mentioned economizer. A boiler economizer is something that helps to reduce the value of to improve the energy efficiency of a boiler is called an economizer. So it will cost 20,000 and it will last for 5 years. After 5 years, it will pack up. So I want us to look at these questions, and somebody should let me understand what I'll ask question. Let somebody explain to me what he or she understands. Then we'll solve it. Thank you. So just 1 minute, just digest this question and let me know your opinion. What is the A? Which one is A? Which one is F? Which one is P? Which one is I? Which one is N? Thank you. And which particular column in the interest table should we use to solve it?
Find 1, 2 times 20,000, that's 5.
Hello? Okay. So let's solve this now. To solve this, I'm going to my whiteboard now. Okay. I'm on the whiteboard. So what was given? Can somebody help me out? I want the class to be interactive.
N will be 5.
Mm-hmm.
A
Mm-hmm.
is what we are looking for.
God bless you, sir.
It's 20,000.
I is 15,
Mm-hmm.
and P is sorry, what's that figure again? 20,000. Is this 20,000? So
Yes. Good. So what formula should we use? Can somebody let me say it, but guide me. The form we are looking for A. And what will A be now? A will be what was given. And what was given? P. Multiply by the table factor. And the table factor means what I'm looking for over what was given. Are you with me?
Yes.
So A now will be 20,000 multiplied by a table factor. So let's go to our table. So if we go to our table now, we're going to look at A over P given at a particular I at a particular N. So the first thing you do, the interest rate is how many percent? 12. See, made a mistake. It's okay. So you go to the interest table and go to 15. Are we with me? So interest table will go to 12%. Good. So can somebody tell me which of the column? There are about 6 columns here, or 8 columns. Which of the columns should we look out for the interest table? This is already 12%, 5 years. So under which one? What are we solving? Is it capital recovery? Is it compound? Is it present worth? Which of them, please? I've already seen the one. We are doing capital recovery. Why is it capital recovery? From the word, it said you are investing 20,000 naira as capital, and it will last for 5 years. How much will it be paying you back? So you are trying to recover your capital. So that question is a capital recovery question. How do you recover your capital? And it's going to save you 12%. It's going to give you a return on investment of 12%. Last for 5 years, and will cost 20,000. So on the interest table, we'll go to the interest. We'll go to the interest table that says capital recovery factor. So this is where we are. So under 5 years, it will be 0.2774. 0.2774 is the capital recovery factor of 5 years. We are looking for A given P. That's why you see A over P. We are looking for A given P, 2.774. So back to my, oh, sorry, maybe some of you didn't say it, sorry. So this is capital recovery factor at 5 years, 0.2774. $0.2774. So if I go back here now, $0.2774. $0.2774 multiplied by 20,000. It will give us 5548. So it means that these investments must pay 5,548. That's the minimum return every year for the investment of 20,000 to be justified. Are you with me? So back to the initial question that I showed us. This is just like saying, in this example now, we don't know how much it will cost us to change this LED. Okay, it means we don't have 40,000. Okay, let's say we don't have this 40,000, for instance, and we know that the thing will save us this. It will save us this, and the discount rate is 12%. Okay, so that means, what do we do? So this is the amount that you need to save. So what I'm trying to bring out that this question is just like the first one we solved. But in the first one, we are giving the savings and we didn't know the investment. In this case, we are giving the investment, we are need to find the savings. So these are what you're going to do as an energy auditor. If you're going to install, and let's say you want to put in a new AC, okay, what if the AC costs 150,000? So if there are 10 of them, it means they're investing 1.5 million. You now need to know what is the energy savings between the old AC and the new AC, multiplied by the working hour of the AC. You come up with a value to justify 1.5 million. Can somebody talk to me? Do you understand it now? I want to show you why what we're doing today is very important. Let's say, okay, let me practicalize it now. Let me practicalize it now. In a very practical form. I'm doing an energy auditing, and they are using, they have old ACs. Those ACs are 1.5, watch me now, 1.5 horsepower. 1.5 horsepower. And this is the old AC. Okay. And I told them that they can change it with 0.5 horsepower. The newest AC will consume only 0.5 horsepower, but it will still give them the same level of cooling they have. So 750 watts. That's the new AC. And there are about 10 numbers of AC. Okay. So there are about 10 ACs in the house. And the cost of this new AC, the cost of new AC is 150,000. And no salvage value for the old AC. It means the old AC, I'm going to dispose it. Remember, no salvage value for the old one. Because if there's salvage value, I need to say there is savings. So I will know that the net savings, assuming the old AC costs, I will sell them for 50,000. It means the net cost of the new AC will now be 100,000. Are you with me? But in this case, there's no salvage value for old AC. Old AC is just like go and throw them away. They are worthless. So, and the inflation rates or the interest rates at which you are going to borrow this money, it's, let's say 5%. 5% is small. Let's say 10%. Let's say the money that we use to fund this investment is to be borrowed. And these ACs are going to last for, should we say 5 or 10 years? Can somebody advise me? What do you think? How long do you think they can last?
Let's say 8 years, sir.
Okay, let's say 8 years. So this is the scenario you find yourself as an auditor. Oh yeah. How do you convince your clients? Oga, this is your 1.5 old AC, na Yamaha, or their war unit, they are old though. They are it's 1.5 horsepower. What are you doing 1.5 horsepower for a room of 10 meter by 10 meter? Oga, there's a new AC from what's their name again? Who is LG? The new energy saving LG. It will use only 50% of that AC. So for this, your office complex, 10 ACs, let me change them in 8 years' time. How do we? So it means, so let's solve it now. So in solving it now, let me clear this. Don't worry. In solving it now, so a solution. So this is a solution now. So the P, what is the P? P will be what? 10 times
1.5 million.
God bless you, sir. And what is A? Savings. From what Chima taught you yesterday, you fall back on the theory Chima gave you yesterday. And electricity cost is 15 naira per kilowatt. Am I right? So the savings in kilowatts, in kilowatt terms, is 1,500 minus what? 750. Oh, I should be doing this with Excel. What do you think, gentlemen? Okay, let's continue. And that will give you 750 watts. Or 0.75 kilowatts. And each kilowatt in Nigeria. Okay, so this is it. So in 1 year, how long do we think we can use the AC? Let's say they use the AC for 8 hours. Okay, that is from 5. They will come to work by 8 o'clock and close by 5. How many hours is that, please? 8 hours. 8 hours. So in 365 days, or not 365 days, we have in a month, in a week. Listen, watch this, gentlemen, watch this, very important. Okay, let's say it's a residential home. Let's make life easy. It means every day they use AC, but they use it for only 8 hours. Are we together? Because what I wanted to calculate now, I want to calculate 40 hours per week. And I will say 40 hours multiply by 52. Is another way to look at it. But now, this is a residential place. So this is what you do as an energy auditor. So if it's an office complex, it means the working hour will be 40 times 52. That will give me 2,000 hours. If it's a residential, it will be 365 times 8. That will give me 292 working hours. 292 hours. So 1 kilowatt hour is now what? 0.75 multiplied by 2920. .75 times 2920. So it means in 1 year, listen to me, in 1 year, we are consuming 2,100. Yes. 2,190 kilowatt hour. It should be small letter. This is what the AC is consuming in a year. So in 5 years, sorry, in 8 years, gentlemen, I think that 8 years is too high. Sorry, let's use 5 years. I wonder which AC will last for 8 years. I'm sorry, sir. But I know it seems to be on the high side. But you can, maybe it's an AC from Germany. So
German machine.
Is a German machine. Yeah, we're talking about Chinese machine. So 2190 times 5 for our Chinese machine. So you are saving 10,950 in 5 years kilowatt hour. That is the energy saving. No, I'm wrong. Sorry. We cannot do by hour because if we do 5 years, we're not considering the time value of money. So we're doing it by year. Sorry, by year. So this is what we're saving in 1 year. So it means if 15 naira, 15 naira, that's the cost in Nigeria now. So it means in 1 year, the naira saving now, naira saving, let me put it in brackets, or cost savings, let me put cost, is 2190 multiplied by 15 naira.
Is it 50? Is this 50?
Yeah. Yes. So we are saving. It's a small money. Why is it so? 15 naira multiplied by 2190 multiplied by 15 naira. So we are saving 1,100. How do you put this, sir?
So how do we get that 15 naira?
That's the ADC? I don't know where you're coming from. ADC is 15 naira now for commercial now. Am I right? 48 or 15 naira, whatever. The new tariff, electricity tariff is 15 naira.
Okay.
Are we together?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so this is a month. So if you invest this money now, okay, but this is for one AC. That's why I made a mistake. So for 10 AC, so one AC will save this. Okay, so the 10 ACs now will save. That's when I saw that value, it was so small. But when I remember that it's 10 ACs. So it will now be 109.5. It means in 1 year, gentlemen, this is a good investment. Even without doing any calculation. This is what I'm saving. If I change these 10 ACs from Yamaha, why am I using Yamaha? Maybe one old AC, a window unit. I'm saving 1 million. So for investment of 1.5 million, in just 1 year, I'm already saving 1 million. So it means the payback period, for instance, the payback period will now be what? We say cost of investment. I should be doing this in Excel next time, divided by so 1.5 million divide 1095 is the payback period is 1.37. Which means within 2 years, I've recovered the money. If you want to know the exact month this thing is, simply multiply 0.37 times 12, 0.37 times 12. It will give you the exact month. So it's giving me 1 year, 5 months. We're all engineers. We understand how I got it. 1.37 years means 1 year, 5 months. So it means the payback period is already 1 year, 5 months. Okay. So assuming now that I don't know, so it means so this is how we got the savings. So at least you've seen how I got the savings into this. So this is savings for 1 year. Okay. So if I now want to know in 8 years, what is the savings for 8 years, we can do that.
For 5 years, I think you have changed it to 5 years.
Yeah, to 5 years. So if you want to know the savings for 5 years, I will now use our formula. We know the savings. Okay. And we are looking for the present what? That means by then, we didn't know what it would cost us to buy those ACs. So 1.5 million, let's assume that is unknown. Are we together? Are you with me, gentlemen? So we're assuming that 1.5 million is unknown. So let's see whether 1.5 million is justified. So well, we have A and we're looking for P. So A over P. No, sorry. We know this. We know this, and we're looking for this. So here will be P. And here will be A. Yeah, this is the formula. We're looking for the present, what is the initial investment we should do, since we already know the annual savings. So P is now, annual saving is 109,500 multiply by the table factor. Table factor will now be P over A. We are doing capital recovery. I've already seen it because we want to recover. No, not capital recovery. P over A. Yeah, present worth. What is the present worth of that investment? So we can compare. We can compare whether it's worth it. So for 5 years, it is 3.605. 3.605. 3.605, and that will be what? 1095 times 3.605. It will give us 3,947,475. 3,947,475 naira. And what is the proposal that was given to us? 1.5 million. So it means the NPV now, the net present value, now net present value will now be 3,947,475 minus 1.5 million. And you can see that that is a beautiful investment. It's a worthwhile investment. It's something that you should just dive at it. Minus 1.5. It means the net present value, net present worth is in excess of 2 million. What does that tell you now? What it means is that as of today, if I invest in this AC, I'm automatically making 2.4 million today. But let me shock you. The shocking I want to give you is that you never see such AC at 150,000. You probably will see such AC at 300,000. That will bring down this value. Because this is too much, it's too good to be real. That if you invest 1.5 million, that after 8 years, you will have a net change of 2 million in excess, because that will be saving you 1 million every year. If you invest 1.5 million, it will be saving you 1 million every year. But I know it's not that realistic, because that AC will never go for 1.5 million. That AC will be like 300,000 or 350,000. You want to say something? You have something to say? So that is that. So by the time you go through some of these exercises, you will agree with me that you can easily translate these things into real life. So let's go back to this. I think we've solved this. Have we? Have we solved this? Yeah, we solved it. We got 5,548 for this. And if you want, if you want to see the Excel solving, you go to LCC. You go to LCC, you go to page 2. Now let me solve it quickly. Why I put minus here is because that 20,000 naira is in cash flow. Whatever that is leaving your pocket is negative. What is coming in is positive. Excel will still give you the same result, but the result might be in inverted, it might be in brackets. When Excel gives you result in brackets, it is a negative sign. It shows that that money is leaving your pockets. So that's why I put minus here. So it's just a question of this thing. So a boiler economizer will cost 20,000 naira and last for 5 years. How much will the economizer have to save? So we use a function in Excel called PMT. which is payment. So how much would the boiler be paying for itself? So you go to formulas, you go to financial, you look for payment. It's called PMT. Those of you that want to have a deeper knowledge of how to use Excel to do all these things, there's a course we offer called Cost Engineering. The good news is that if you go to YouTube, you go to my YouTube channel, you can see it and download it, and you can understand some of them. It's free. So the rate is 12%. The number of years is 5. The present value, that is the cost of investment today, that's the present value, is 20,000. So what is the annual savings? 5,548, which is exactly what we got. Any question? If not for time, I would have given us the opportunity to try this on our own. But the good news is that the videos are being saved, so that you try this Excel, because I encourage people to have a mastery of how to use Excel to do these things. It's very important. Excel is the all-purpose tools to do all this economic analysis, especially if you're going to do some international courses, not necessarily CA, CAM, but any other course you're doing that involves financial analysis. Excel is a default tool. So, and this is all where you see them. Just come to these financial tools and just understand what you're looking for. Schedule, in rates, payment, nominal interest, PMT, part payment, PMT, all these things are all, you get to know how they are used. But then if you can go to my YouTube channel, I think you can download some videos of the cost engineering training. But
Could you give us a link to it, sir?
Okay, I will give you my YouTube name here on our chat box. The idea, if you go to the YouTube, you now go to my playlist. Okay, so in the chat box now, this is my YouTube name. So if you type this on YouTube, it will take you to my channel. Then, or let me demonstrate it here now, because this is equally important. In trainings like this, it's not just to be rigid. It's good to just introduce people to what they should know. So that will include also how to use Excel, how to how to use YouTube for learning purpose. So now, if you go to YouTube, for instance, this is YouTube. Okay. You go to search, for instance. If you go to search, for instance, you put something like this. Sorry, no you. Maybe I'll change it to Vasamba. Then these are some of our videos. This is the video I sent you yesterday. This is the video on cost engineering. But don't go to the channel name. Click on this name. It will take you to the channel. Then we go to the channel, you see playlists. Any YouTuber who understands YouTube will organize his videos on playlists. So if you go to playlist now, you will see titles of trainings. Like this one says energy auditing and energy efficiency. And there are 3 videos. These 3 videos are for day 1, day 2, day 3. So you can use 4K downloader or YouTube downloader and download everything. Then there's cost and economic analysis of ROE and EE projects. This is exactly what we're doing today. The ones that I've recorded before. So you click on it now, it will download them. Then cost engineering. It has about how many videos now? 3 videos. So if you click on cost engineering, for instance, you can now download. So it will teach you all this economic analysis we're talking about, and more anyway. So that is that. So let's go back to our question. So here, let's take the next question. This is the next question. A company has asked you to look at 2 projects. Each project will last 8 years. The first project costs 125,000 and will save $33,000 each year. The second project costs $153,000 and will save $56,000 each year. The company has a discount rate of 12%. Which project will you recommend? So this is what we call investment appraisal. This is what we call financial investment appraisal. That's just English. Investment appraisal. You are an energy engineer. You work in a company as an energy manager or as an auditor. And the company got two proposals from two different companies. One from ABB in Switzerland, and the other one from Siemens in Germany. The proposal from Siemens, ABB says that when you do your analysis, cost savings and everything, you'll be saving $33,000. But for you to buy the solar panel, the batteries, the inverters, the chargers, pay for transportation, pay for installation, it will cost you the total cost of everything, the life cycle cost, the initial cost investment will be $125,000. Why Siemens came with another proposal and said, no, our own machine will save $46,000 per year, but it will cost a bit higher, and it will cost $153,000. So as an energy auditor, as an energy manager, you are now invited to come and evaluate and which project will you recommend based on their cost implication, not based on other factors. There could be other factors. There could be period of installation. There could be environmental effects. There could be potential savings in CO2 emission. There could be potential advantage in corporate social responsibility. Which one is offering you more things? Maybe the Germans will give them scholarship, give the student scholarship or whatever. So, but now we are looking at the cost consideration purely in cost term, in money term, money speaks. So how do you go about it? So that's the next thing we're going to solve. Is there anybody that will give me an idea how I'm going to solve this? Any idea? Did you understand it? So I can do two methods. I can start to say, for these 8 years, let me split this cost into 8 years and subtract it from this and know what is my net saving. That method is called annual what method. I can start to say, okay, what is the present value of this 33,000? I will now subtract it from this to get the net present value. This is the present value of the cost. What is the present value of the savings? Because net present value is the cost minus savings, whether it's negative or positive. But it has to be the present value of the cost minus the present value of the savings. That will give you the net. That's why we use the word net. So let's solve it. So I'll go to my whiteboard. How do I do it again? Let me go back to whiteboard. So what did I do? Okay, I want a new whiteboard. Okay. So let's start with the first project. The first project, so I'll list the 5 terms and let's notice which one we eliminate. We have P, we have F, we have A, we have I, we have N. So let's go. For the first project, there's nothing like future value. So let's eliminate future value. For the first project, we're giving 33,000. The number of years is 8 years. The interest rate is, I think, is 12%. We don't know the P. But somebody would have argued and said, but there's a P there. Well, that P is the P of costs, is the present investments, is the present value of the costs. And that is 123,000. But we don't know the present value of the savings. Why? What is leading us to this is because we are looking for MPV. That's where our sin started. Sorry, that's where the problem started. And MPV is net of costs, no, net of savings. So tactically, we don't know it. So we're looking for P, and we are given A. So we multiply by a table factor, P over A, on interest rate I, and number of years N. So P.
I think A is 33,000, not 30.
Okay, sir. So what is P now? P will now be 33,000 multiply the table factor. Go to a table factor. Take care of, we are looking for P given A at 8 years at 12%. So if you go to your interest table, you find yourself first at 12% table, and you find 8 years and mark it. So now we're looking for P given A. So we're looking for the present what? And that will give you 4.968. 4.968. Sorry, some of you are not seeing this. So 12%, 8 years. We're looking for P given A. We're looking for the present what of the savings. That 33,000 naira per year. What does it mean? 33,000 naira over a span of 8 years. What is the present what at year 0? What is the present what today? The present what today is to multiply that 33,000 by the table factor, which is 4.968. 4.968. So go back here again. 4.968. It's giving me 163,944. What does this mean, by the way? It means that it is the same thing to give somebody 33,000 for 8 years and giving you 163,000 at a go. So it means if you give me, if 163,000 today, and you give me 33,000 naira over a period of 12 years, over a period of 8 years, if the present inflation rate is 12%, those monies are the same.
Sir,
Therefore,
please,
yes?
can you explain how I get this 4.968 again, sir?
Okay.
On the table.
Okay, look at, first of all, before you go to table, you must put down this formula and understand it so that you know what you're looking for. So the table factor we are looking for now is P over A, because we are looking for P and we are given A. So whenever you see this symbol is in your text, it means you're looking for what is up and all the things that are down are given. So when I now go to my table factor, I'll first of all go to 12% because that is being computed on the basis of 12%. and the number of years or number of repayment period is 8. So coming here now, where do you see P over A? P over A, it is here. If you read it up, it will tell you that this is the present worth factor. We want to find P given A. And we've been given A, which is 33,000. And we're looking for the P of that A. So you read down, come to 12, come to 8. It's not highlighting, sorry. So 8 under this 4.968. So that's how I got from 4.968.
Yeah, but we're not seeing the table. I thought you were trying to choose the table.
This is the table. So this is 8 years. First of all, this is 12 years, 12%. Then under 8 years, you're going to find P given A. We are looking for the P of A. Remember, what is the present value of 33,000 per year? 33,000 annum for 8 years. And that's what we just got as 163,000. So you put it here, it becomes 4.968. Are you okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
Good. So now we'll go back to our whiteboard. So this is it. So it means that the machine is costing 123,000, but it is saving us 33,000 every year. So in 8 years, it would have saved us, bringing it forward, 163,000. It means if we are to do this investment today, our net present value of that, the net present value of that investment will now be 163,944 minus 123,000 or 125, I think. And that's the NPV. $163,944 minus 125, sorry. So that will give us 38,944. So this is what we present to your clients to tell him that if you invest in these projects, if you pay this 125,000, and based on my calculation as an auditor, which I have proven in my tables, that this will save us 33,000 every year. And after 8 years, the AC will pack up. It means the monetary equivalent in present time is 163. So if you remove the money you're investing from the money you're getting, you get the net. And net of what? Net of the present value. And that is what it's giving us. So what makes this question unique is that you can, in a project, you can see 2 projects that are all beneficial, that all have good return on investments, but you now have to decide which one has a better return on investment. And that is what investment appraisal is all about. That is what cost benefit analysis is all about. That is what economic financial analysis is all about. That is what financial engineering is all about. We'll be able to engineer it and find out which cost is more appreciable. So this is for project 1, remember. So now let's go for project 2. So for project 2, I'm going to play smart. I'm going to play smart by copying all this. So the only difference I'm changing is that here is now 153,000. And here is now 46,000. So that's the only thing that's changing. Are you with me? The number of years remains the same. The interest rate remains the same. Okay. Interest rate remains the same, the number of years remains the same. So this is what the question is. So once again, we'll go and repeat this formula. Okay, we're going to repeat this formula again. I need to repeat all this thing again. Good. So we're looking for P equals 46,000 multiplied by the same table factor. Because if I go to my table, it's still 12%, it's still 8 years. So it should still be the same thing. That's 4.968. 4.968. And that will be 4.968 multiplied by 46,000. That will give us 228,528. Therefore, the MPV of this second project will be what? The net present value will now be the present value of the costs minus the initial investment. And that will give us 75,528. So it means the proposal from APP, if we go into it, our net profit, our net gain over a period of 8 years will be at $8,944. If we go to the project being offered by Siemens, we'll be getting 75,528. The other thing I want to bring up from these two examples is that what this thing is telling us is this. It's telling us that this 46,000 in a year, after 8 years, the net worth is this. The net, the present worth is this, 228. 46,000 naira over a period of 8 years, it will be worth 228,528 as at today. But the net is now this, because the net means that you have subtracted it from the cost. If you go to the market and you buy something 100 naira and you came back and you sold it at 150, your net profit is 150 minus 100. So that's where the net came. The present value of the cost is 100. The present value of the savings is 150. Therefore, the net present value will be 150 minus 100. Now, this is one method to solve it. So I will close with this. There's another method to solve it. That method to solve it would be to use what I call the annual worth method. In this case now, we will assume that P, this is method 2. P for the first project is 125. We don't know the A. We know the A. We don't know the A of this one. So the A is not given. The A of the cost, what is the annual? If you annualize the costs, if you split the cost over 8 years, what is the worth per year? I remains 12%, N remains 8. So we'll now say find A, and A is P into P over A, the table factor, under I, under, you can just put it as under 12, under 8, as another way to write it. Therefore, A, you know that we want to annualize the cost. We want to turn the cost into a serial yearly payment. The example is that if you go to the market, this is what they do in Europe. If you go to buy a car, and this car is worth 125,000 naira, they know you're a government worker, you're a salary earner. You cannot bring out 125,000 at once. So they will structure it for you at 12% for you to pay back and own that car after 8 years. So the question is, how much will you be paying per year? So that by 8 years, you must have finished paying, and the car is now yours. If you now decide to go and do exchange or upgrade, that is your own business. So the A now will now be 125 multiply by the table factor of 12% at 8 years under P over A. No, sorry. Under A over P, sorry. I want you to understand. Everything under is what is given. Whatever that is above is what you're looking for. Take note of that. So let's go to our table. And of course, I know that one is called capital recovery. I know that already, because I've done this training severally. So under capital recovery, you see, you want to find A given P under 8 years is 0.2013. Please, somebody should check. 0.2013. We are trying to recover the capital. The capital was 125,000 invested at once. We want to recover it over a period of 8 years. So what is the annual worth of the recovery? And that is why it is called a capital recovery factor. So in this case, the capital recovery factor at 12% over a period of 8 years is 0.2013. So 0.2013. And that will give us what? 0.2013 multiplied by 125,000. It will give us 25,162. It means if I don't have 125,000 to pay at a go, I can decide to be paying 25,162 over a period of 8 years at 12% interest rate. That will still be the same as me bringing out a lump sum of 125,000 and pay for the investment as a big boy. You know, all over Europe, you don't, all these iPhone we use here, you don't go to the market and just pay and just buy them. You hardly. What they do, they will structure it for you. And this is how they do the calculation. And I think sometimes let's say I earn 100,000. So it means every year I'll bring out 25,000 and pay for the investment I've made. So that after 8 years, the property will become mine. And I think those of you that will be interested in our cost engineering training, which I encourage you to do if you have the resources and the time, you understand how to do amortization. So that if there's no other thing, if you collect loan or collect a mortgage, if they want to cheat you, you can go to Excel and do it yourself and know what you're supposed to pay, how you're going to your repayment plan over a period of time. So what this means now, remember the savings is 33,000 and the cost now, the annual cost is now 25,162. That's the annual cost of the capital. And that's the annual cost of capital. Therefore, the net savings now, net savings or net annual worth, that's how we call it. The net annual worth of that project, in brackets, I can call it savings still, is now 33,000 minus 25,162. Yes, that's what it is. The project is saving you 33,000. How about the money you are using investing? How about the cost of the capital? So the net cost, the net profit is just 7,837 naira or 38. This is just the net. So this is what is coming to your hand. So the method I saw you had that the project will save you 33,000. You jump up and say, oh, it's a good investment. No, you also have to know what is the annual worth of the investment. You annuitize it. you annuitize the cost. So that when you subtract the annuitized cost from the total saving cost, you get your net savings. So that becomes your own take home. Because that is what some people do in investments. When you want to buy a house and they tell you that the house is going to save you 1.5 million every year. You say, that's big. But you didn't consider the maintenance cost. You didn't consider that you need to pay NEPA bill, you need to pay service charge, you need to pay for security, you need to pay for street lights, you need to pay for, I don't know, whatever. So for you to do that, you need to subtract or add them to your overall cost. Just like the analogy I gave when we started. I told us that if you go to buy a laptop in the market, the 200,000 they sold you to the laptop is not what you bought the laptop. The transport money for Uber is part of it. The software cost they put inside the computer is part of it. The license cost, the antivirus cost is part of it. The charger is part of the mouse is part of the cost. Even the extension cable, the extension that you bought, because without that extension, you will not use the computer, is also part of the cost. And that is where the concept of life cycle costing comes in. You must consider every cost within the project life cycle. So for the second one now, so for the second project, I'll just do the same thing. Permit me to copy. So here is now 153. And I'm going to find the A of this. So here is now so that will give us 30,798. But that is the annual worth of the cost. But then we are told that the savings in energy is about 46,000. So if you subtract it from the cost of investments or cost of capital, annuitized cost, I'll give you minus 46 to give you 15,200. 15,201. So which of the project is best based on these two methods? Based on this method, second project gives you a better annual cost. Imagine you earning average of 15,000 per year as against 7,800. So second project is best. It's better. Here, the same thing. So no matter the method you use, what is good is good. It's just a matter of how you arrive at your result. Good. Any question? Let me take a screenshot of this. Let me take it. I think I love this. I love this. Let me take a screenshot of this. Or somebody, or you take a screenshot, please. Everybody, take a screenshot of this and save it. So how do you take a screenshot? On your laptop, I don't know which laptop you're using, but you see where they wrote print screen. For my own, I have to hold the FN key and press on print screen. Your own, I don't know, your own might be just to press print screen. So I'll print the screen. If I've printed the screen, you go to your search, you type paint. Every computer has a software called Paint. You open the Paint. You Control V, you paste it. and then you save it. So let me save it in our energy. This is investments result. Projects. So any question? We're rounding up now.
Can I ask another question? Actually, it's on the engineering side.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I wasn't in the class earlier than today. So maybe, I'm sorry if I would be drawing us back to what.
No, go ahead, sir. We're all learning, sir.
Okay. So it's a practical question. It's a question I'm looking for a solution to.
Okay.
I have, in my building that I'm presently managing, I have a power factor of about 0.6.
0.6.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm considering getting a power factor corrector.
Okay.
To help me in correcting the power factor. And then we have two sources of energy, one from the grid, NEPA, and the other one from, we normally use the diesel generator to power the building. So before I propose to the management, I want to know, would the power factor corrector give me any savings, or how much power, savings can I have from both the grid and from the diesel generators?
Okay.
Somebody told me that, sorry,
go ahead.
Yeah, he told me that since the NEPA charges in kilowatt hour, that I might not be having any savings installing power factor corrector from the national grid. That the best that I could have is from the diesel generator.
Yes.
So,
and yeah, thank you so much. That's a good question. Just a quick one. I know the others will add value. Let me just first respond. What the person said is true, because as Chima said yesterday, Nigeria is still Nigeria. If in developed countries, there will be penalty. There will be implication for that. There will be implication because at the end of the day, you might be using your demand your demand factor might be low, and there will be penalty for that. But in this case, they are not applying that. There are charges you are supposed to pay for not using your required load, because it is having that effect is having on your generator is the effect it will be having on the national grid. So there is no enforcement of that. So that's go by the way. Coming to your generator, it will affect the lifespan of that generator. That's what the opinion. That's the area me I know, and that could be where to see the cost. It will affect the lifespan. Others will give the opinion, because when you are running a diesel generator at a very low power factor, you are stressing that generator, the ring, the pistons. So I don't know what they wrote, but 0.6 is still appreciable. But there must be in the generator manual, there must be a caution on the range you are supposed to run it. And then sometimes again, it causes tripping off of those generators. It causes that generator to malfunction. So my question to you is that, have you noticed any effect on your generator? Has it been affecting it in any way? Has it been tripping off? What have been the impact? Because that is
sometimes it trips off, mainly sometimes maybe when we have a low fuel pressure.
Okay.
Or some other thing. Although there is one of the generators, the one we use for the off-peak period, that one is not able to carry much load. Though there might be some other factors that are responsible for that. I don't know. But what I notice is that on the three phases, I have 0.9, 0.6, 0.4 on different phases. So my concern is how do I maximize the power factor, at least to give me something higher, and then save costs on this the energy as much as possible.
Yeah. I think it's, another thing about saving the energy is in terms of the load, so I can, let's say, so I can carry more load.
Yes, and then
So I
maybe
can carry,
sometimes we use two of the generators running at the same time in synchronizing with each other. So maybe if I can reduce the load, I might be using one of the generators at a time instead of using two. So that will save me some diesel. But for the national grid, I don't know, maybe that's
is their own problem.
solvable.
The financial grid,
I just want to ask a question, please. So, considering what you've said on the power factor on different phases that you have in your buildings, I mean, what kind of load? Do you have a lot of inductive load like motors and all of that in your buildings? Because I'm wondering what's responsible for the low power factor of 0.4 and 0.6 in other two phases or so.
Invariably, when we look at the loading on each of those phases, they are close to being balanced. They are not so different from each other. I mean, the current on each of those.
What kind of load do you have on the phases?
Oh, well, we have AC, the central AC, and then the normal office things.
So it's just an industrial building, not an industrial building.
No, it's not. It's an office complex.
Okay, because I'm wondering what's responsible for the low power factor. Because that's something you have to also examine to find out
investigate.
Power factor.
Yeah.
Okay, what could be responsible? What are the possible reasons?
Like you rightly said, for the fact that you're having a low power factor, we greatly reduce the capacity of a generator. So if you're supposed to power a higher load, it's going to be powering a lower load. Like you said, now you're not using two generators instead of using one, and all of that. And it's maintenance costs, fuel costs, and all of that. It impacts your finances a lot. But for me, I'm just wondering what's the responsible for that low power factor. That's key area that you should investigate to know what's responsible for that part. So you might want to examine the loads on those lines, on those phases, I need to say.
Okay. We will do more. We'll carry out more investigation.
Do an investigation and see what the load that is bringing down that power factor on the imbalanced one, so that even the lifespan of the generator. Yeah, I'm wondering why by now you're not getting kind of maybe if it goes below this, now it might be generator might be tripping off. So it's more of a technical thing that we're going to work on, and then the capacity to carry more load might not really save you much more diesel. Okay, thank you. Any other opinion?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. So some of these questions have been solved here. Even some, like this one we just finished now. This is the Excel solution. The Excel solution is here. LCC. This is it. So this is the Excel solution, present work method. So I use both. Okay, look at it. So in using Excel, what I did was to put the present value and then I put the amount. So I'll now look for the present value of this one. So when I go to here, I go to formulas, I go to financials, I go to PMT because I'm looking for the annual what.
Okay, we're not seeing it. We're not seeing
sorry.
We're not seeing the sheet.
Sorry. So this is the same question we just solved now. Okay. This is the first question we just solved now. The number of years is 8 years. So I prepared two tables like this. Anybody can prepare this thing. So here, the PMT, I'll go to formulas, menu, go to financial ribbon. I'll go to PMT because I'm looking for the annual worth of this PV. So under rate, 12%. Number of years, 8. The present value, the initial cost of investment is minus 125. Why minus? Because it's a cash outflow. Then any future value, no. Type, leave it blank. Okay. It will give us 25,163. This is the present value of this annuity. So coming down here now, the net will now be this, equal to, the net is now equal to this, which is the savings, minus the annual savings, annual savings, net worth of the annual savings, minus the net worth of the annual cost. That will give us the same thing we got here. If you go here again, the same thing. Okay. I'm closing this class in the next 2 minutes. Here we have the present value again. I go to my formulas, I go to my financials, I'll look for PMT. The rate is 12. The number of years, 8. The PV is minus 53. And this is it. Then if I now come here, I will say the net is now this minus this. If I now want to use the present worth method, in the present worth method, that means I'm looking for the PV. So the PV again is, I go back here, I go to formula financials, I'm looking for the present value of that annuity. So here, the rate is 12%. The number of years is 8 years. The payment is 33. Remember the first time I used the PV. So this time I'm using the present value method, which means I'm looking for the P. So this is the A. And this will pop up. And when this pops up, I will now say the present value will now be this minus this, which is now equal to, I think this is giving me negative because, yeah, because this is the minus. Okay, so this one will now be equal to this. I will say minus because of this. Sorry. Now be equal to this minus. That's it. So 38, this, then this one is 25. So if you look at it, you see that in all economic indices, project 2 is better than project 1. So this is what you now print and present to your client and prove to your client that this project is worth investing. And I think that is, so for instance now, the payback period now, like this one now, for this one now, if you have to know the payback period is simply the simple payback period. Payback period is simply equal to this divided by this. Sorry, it's giving me naira. I should remove this naira thing. I need to format this cell. Okay, I just format the cell. Right click, format cell. I'll say numbers, not currency. To decimal places. So the payback period is 1 year. That's not 3 months. Let me check. Equal to 0.31 multiplied by 12. So 1 year, 4 months. So this is over 1 year, 4 months. This is a month. 1 year, 4 months. So in 1 year, 4 months, you recover the money. So this is things you present to your clients, or somehow you present it in a very formatted, fashionable, good-looking format like this. So maybe I can also share this with us now. Let me also share this with us. Okay, are you sure we don't have it already? I think it's included in the LCC already. It's LCC. No, it's not there. So I'll share this with us so that if tomorrow you, but then as Kim said yesterday, you see, part of this training we are doing, let me not say we're the first of it. This is first of its kind in NSC. I don't know who have done it in the past, but one thing I know is that we're not more than 30 energy auditors, certified energy auditors so far. There are many people doing your auditing informally and formally. So we've created a group. We will be doing mentorship session. If tomorrow you have an issue, you have a challenge, you need something. I've seen people that call me and saying, I need this template. Can you help me send you? The good thing is that I'm a Google person, I'm a Google Drive person. My phone is my laptop. So if you call me anywhere, if there's any information you need, it's in my phone. Time will not permit me, I would have show some of us how we can do these things, but that's not part of this class. So